Tepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer, may Buddha bless you. This is Qesankh with another broadcast for you. And in this broadcast, we're going to talk about how a prostitute changed me. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. Also, I do have free ebooks for you. You can click on the links below, download the ebooks, and start reading right away. If you want to take your spiritual journey to the next level, become a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. You get exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, on the spiritual, videos on how to meditate, how to call forth the ancestors, how to put together an altar, how to do self-hypnosis to curb overeating, or go to the gym when you need to, or to improve your health. A lot more videos on divination. And if you are a level contributor, yes, but share this video so we can get the revolution started. So Haru Nefer, how's everybody? Let me check some things out here. All right. And by the way, I am drinking. This is called Qesankh 1, and it's a youth juvenile. You can get it on Amazon. It's very expensive. It's about $100. I think I mentioned this before in a previous broadcast. If you get a chance, you can afford it. Get it. It's great because one of the things that does a little younger, look pretty, like when you wake up in the morning, you wake up with a pep in the step. You just like getting up 6 in the morning ever since I gives you and a lot of good stuff. So if you get a chance, it's called Qesankh 1. All right. We have some internet connections earlier, so I hope this broadcast is coming in clear. If it's not, if it's skipping, if there's problems with sound, please let me know in the chat box. It's very important because we want to make sure that you are receiving this broadcast in particular, because it is going to be a very, very good one. You know, I've always wondered, it was interesting because siblings or people born in the same family, why, for example, two brothers, two sisters, or a brother and a sister, why can they be so diametrically apart or different, even though they were raised by the same parents and brought up in the same environment? All right, this thanks for letting me know, Iris, that it is skipping. That bothers me. Yeah, we did have some problems. So I am hoping that as we go along, it will clear up. But if it skips, if it continues to skip, please let me know, okay? And then what I'll probably do is, good. Probably, if it continues to skip out in the broadcast, and probably try to start a new one. So my thing is, I always want to know why people born in the same family, raised by the same parents, turn out so differently. And the reason why this has come up was because of my brother. We are like night and day. We were so opposite of one another. You know what I mean? And we fought a lot. And you know, and he was a type of person, had a good heart, but was very materialistic. You know, very, very materialistic to a fault. So he had to have a nice car, watches, like $4,000 or $5,000 watches, you know, things of that nature. Me, I didn't care. I was like, oh, whatever I got, just rip pair of jeans, I'll wear it. You know, he had to make sure all his clothes were neatly pressed. I mean, yeah, I mean, very, very into external things. But what I want to talk to you about, down the rabbit hole and understanding how life works. Now, each of us report to what we call an oversoul. And your mission here because you were reincarnated in this plane of existence, is to be a vehicle for God to experience this fourth dimensional plane. And that information goes up to your oversoul, and your oversoul relays the information to source, which goes into the Akashic records for storage. Nothing is ever destroyed or deleted. It goes into the Akashic records, okay, to be accessed by other individuals, spirits, and things of that nature to help the cause further along. So there's another thing which in Vadim Zeland's book, Reality Transurfing, he coins a pendulum. I call it an ergobore. In the occult arena, it's called an ergobore. You can call it a pendulum. You can call it a thought virus. And you are attached to this ergobore. And this ergobore is constantly downloading you thoughts and information, and it's getting you to act in accordance with its wishes. There could be an ergobore and there is an ergobore that makes people into millionaires. If that ergobore wants to use you for its purpose, it will attach itself to you and make you wealthy, but you'll be doing its bidding. Everyone is attached to an ergobore or a pendulum. Get that straight. You can't separate yourself from them. You're attached to an ergobore some way, shape, or form. Some are attached to a poverty ergobore who consistently makes them have bad luck when it comes to money. Other people are attached to an argumentative ergobore, and they become overly argumentative and confrontational, and they initiate altercations. So I want you to understand this. When we're born, it's never on an even keel or even playing field. When we're born, we're attached to different ergobores. And this is how we see siblings differ greatly. You may have a good logical, analytical mind, and you not buy into the Christian doctrine. And you will say, how do these people sit up in a church and believe this nonsense about a man walking on water and healing people when there is no evidence that such a man ever existed in history? Well, those people are under the control of an ergobore. So you can't logically or rationally argue with them. The ergobore is controlling them, giving them directives, rewiring the thought process so they're not logically based through the frontal lobe, but they're emotionally based in mammalian, reptilian, and the right side of the brain. So you're not going to win an argument with them because the ergobore has a very tight hold on them. Now I'm going someplace with this, so follow me here. When my brother and I were younger, both our parents physically and verbally abused us. It was traumatic and it was horrific. So much so that my brother, as he got older, couldn't function and decided to take his life. And he did it right in front of me. And some healings to help him. But my brother and I kept a secret from our family at large, because most of our family, cousins, aunts, uncles, never knew that we were physically and verbally abused until I would say fairly recently, when I started to talk about it. And in school, I was traumatized because, you see, my father in particular, on a daily basis, would tell me and my brother how dumb we were. And this affected us in the education system. Now, their ancestors now, they have passed on, so I have great respect for them. But I'm telling you this so that we can learn and grow from this story, not to look back on them and blame them or be angry with them because they have passed on. But in school, I couldn't keep up because I was already imprinted or programmed with the engram or the conditioning that I was dumb, that I couldn't learn. Even though early on, I was what you would call a super learner. I excelled at learning. I could pick up things quickly, do things miraculously. But as the abuse went on, I lost that skill of memorizing pages out of a book, doing math quickly. I lost that skill. So when I was in school, I had a condition which was called selective mutism, where I couldn't communicate. I couldn't ask questions because I was terrified to talk, terrified to be in the same proximity with people. And eventually one woman in my high school, a very good teacher, saw this, diagnosed this, and tried to get me help and treatment. Unfortunately, my brother, it was too late for my brother. As I went into diving into self-help, seeking counseling and therapy, he couldn't function, and no one knew why. Now, all this wasn't just due to the abuse in the household, but my brother was in some ways attached to a very negative herbivore who indoctrinated my brother's mindset into materialism, rebellious nature for no apparent reason, argumentative, violent, egotistical. So we cannot blame, like I said, my parents for everything, because he was attached to a specific herbivore. Luckily, I was attached to another herbivore which pushed me in the direction of spiritual elevation. No matter where I went, there were books on spirituality, there was information on chemistry. I couldn't avoid it because the herbivore was escorting me to get into this. And I eventually got into the priesthood. I traveled the country. I studied with some of the great masters, a Japanese master, in the art of meditation and martial arts and all kinds of things. The Japanese and Chinese occult. So I got into all these things where I learned I Ching, the I Ching, the Tao, Lao Tse. We studied all of that, But I didn't understand from an esoteric perspective what was going on. That maybe there were ancestors helping me and the herbivore was helping me. You will see in life that you will have people play out roles. You'll have your sages, you'll have your inventors, you have your revolutionaries, and then you will have your sheep or your sheeple. And they represent the masses who are under control of very powerful herbivores who make sure they just follow whatever the government and whatever the system says. They keep the machine going. While others, such as the revolutionaries, the inventors, the sages, the spiritualists, try to go against the system and awaken the people. And thus becomes a battle between herbivores. They battle each other for the minds of the population. They're political herbivores as well. But I'm not here to talk about pendulums and herbivores. I'm trying to let you know that when you cannot diagnose or look at a person's behavior and understand it, you have to look deeper. 20th hexagram of the I Ching, bird's eye view. You have to take a bigger look at things, a bigger picture, and understand what's going on. So, with this understanding that something was not right, because I knew it, and I sought therapy for it, to try and deal with it. And now 6 hours a day in meditation. And, my mate, they're upset because I can't make sweet love to them and all that. But I'm like, hey, this is important. You see, I realize that I'm a work in progress and I'm not there yet. And there's certain things that I still have that I still carry the trauma from my childhood that I need to eradicate. The I Ching talks about when you're pulling up the grass, make sure you get the weeds too, or else it'll grow back. So when I do my meditations, I make sure I root out that past. It's here. I feel it, I can sense it. And there's certain external stimuli which activate it. This is why I'm spending so much time in what people call a behavior modification or in trance or hypnotherapy, because I want to make sure I deal with that. We have a very sick and perverted society that doesn't examine or nor question them. You see, when you wear your jeans down to, that's a problem. You have adapted something that has no relevance. And it is a symptom of something going on within you, and it needs to be addressed. You see, not blaming African Americans or ADOS of foundational Black Americans for this, but we could have gotten out of this oppression thing or a racism thing or white supremacy thing a long time ago if we had our act together. But the dysfunctionalism and celebrate it, hey, it's normalism. It prevents from succeeding in life, ourselves from oppression. Do you follow me here? When you form, well, there's certain things that come with that, the inability to free oneself from oppression. You understand? And of course, there is the white oligarchy that is continually coming up with little schemes and conspiracies to destroy the Black community. They do it constantly, whether it's flooding the Black community with drugs, economic oppression, redlining, all kinds of things they do to ensure that Black people don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Now what they're doing is putting everybody else ahead of Black people. They're putting immigrants ahead of Black people, LGBTQ ahead of Black people. Even though our need is great and we represent a greater percentage of the population. The whole Asian violence thing is being promoted by the media to deflect from reparations, from police brutality of young Black men. This is a common tactic that they use to change the narrative, to change the political landscape and discussion. Do you understand? But I'm not here to talk about politics. I digress. But what I'm saying is that I'm not the type of person to sit on my laurels or to sit back and accept my dysfunctionalism. If I say to myself, or I see or I recognize that I have a problem, maybe I get triggered or get angry too quickly, I'm in my meditation room chanting a mantra to get rid of that emotion. I'm not allowed. Proverb which talks about there are two wolves within you. The little boy asked to the shaman, which is the strongest, and feed emotionalism, your emotions, feeding your emotion, it's going to grow so powerful that it becomes an ergo pulls you. You no longer, that emotionalism is dictating your life. This is why the Kemetic spiritual cultivation system is so important, because it's for the first time, it's over the lower animal spirit of you. So you can intuit wisdom and knowledge and have extraordinary powers. I was in machine that we were sitting at. She had a drink in her hand and she was drinking. And I noticed that she had tattoos all over her body. Now, she was probably a prostitute, I mean, most definitely. And if you know anything about me, I stand call prostitutes. I hate them. I've got a little, that's a little with me. When she passed by, saying really now, and kind of smile. And I noticed one particular was of a woman on her left arm. And then I screamed out to her, I said, "What kind of woman has a tattoo of another woman?" I probably told this story to you before. And she said, "That's baby's sister who died." It's as if everything stopped. And I just looked at her and I said, "I am so sorry. I apologize." And she looked at me and she said, "No problem." And that was an experience I never forgot. And how that was a bad best version of myself. And at that point, avoiding passing them actually made me start to revisit it and to mourn a bit and to think, how could I honor him in a way? Again, was to become the best version of myself. And that's what I strive to do. And one of the things I focused on was how my father tried to against. So I said, I've got to go where I was before as that speed, the accelerated super learner. And I started diving into all about it, you know? And lo and behold, she had said, "You know, whatever you get into, master it. Every aspect of it." She says, "Are you a achiever?" And I got that. And when I got into project management, I just didn't want to learn project management. I wanted to learn everything that came along with it. When I just didn't want to learn filmmaking, I wanted to learn everything that came along, excel at it. When spiritual culture, I wanted to learn everything that came along with it and excel at it. And I want you to know that what I have done in terms of working with super learning, accelerated learning, and getting to the trance state and going above and beyond is, we're all cut from, there's no difference. What I can do, you can do. The education system is messed up. I just spoke with a woman in France, and a tutor, she asked me, because the system is designed to joke. Let's put it that way. That's why we're not the our growth is our progress is retarded. You think that you can start a curriculum and put a black face on it, or the education system should be about a total change in who you are, from a personality percentage to a way in which so I want to think about that long, because this internet connection is really, but I want you to think about that and think about these things that have, think about it hold you back have there been people who have you bully you? We are individuals with extraordinary powers, and we can do so much. We have to achieve greatness. I want to thank you for tuning in. This is Qesankh Peru. And I do, like I said, apologize for the broadcast. And we'll do another one where hopefully they will fix that. This is Qesankh my aunt is a beautiful God. Till the next broadcast, I'm in Ra.